Oh, hello, children. Yes, I'm glad you're here. It's Mr. Popcorn, and yeah, we're back. Myself and Dorian. Welcome back, Dorian. Good to
Hello,
see
I've
you.
returned.
And yeah, we are just continuing our way along the gateway tier of the horror iceberg. This is the second to last of the One-averse, yeah, because we're doing
Yeah,
Insidious next week, aren't we?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
cool.
so looking forward to
I'm
that.
looking forward to that. I haven't seen that in a minute, and watching The Conjuring
Oh,
today made me think about
mm,
Insidious, but we'll go into that.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to pin this image on our Instagram account
Mm,
and our Facebook account. Yeah, so you know what's coming up. You can even watch beforehand because we will talk about what we're going to do next as well. But if you want to see what's in the far future, do a little research, see how
mm,
messed up it is going to get.
yeah,
Yeah, have a look at that at Evil Popcorn Pod. Start that again. At Evil Popcorn Pod. Yeah, you'll find us on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. All right. Should we just do any thing you want to say before we begin, Dorian, or you're good to go straight in?
nah,
Yeah.
good to go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, we are doing The Conjuring. Everyone knows what The Conjuring is. If you haven't seen it, do check it out. Just general
Mm,
thoughts. I thought it stood up. I was actually impressed with the way that it stood the test of time 10 years
mm,
since its release. This is a 2014 James Wan film. Before Atomic Monster, I found interesting,
mm,
before he created that production company. So he's still really making his bones and impressing the world very much so at this stage.
yeah,
Yeah. And I thought it had a lot of heart. This movie has a lot of heart that actually really works.
yeah,
Um, yeah, kind of, because there's almost a love saves the day to this, and I didn't hate it
yeah,
because I
yeah. It's very much
despise
the yeah,
that.
yeah,
But we'll get into that. But I think it really holds up, and yeah, and I think this one worked. The second one worked in a similar way to this
mm,
one, the first. The
mm,
third one, yeah, it got a bit silly, but again, we'll go into that. But yeah,
yeah,
it holds up. If you've seen it, watch it again. It's worth
yeah,
it. And if you haven't,
yeah,
definitely watch it. Dorian, what do you reckon?
yeah.
General
I mean,
impression?
yeah, I agree with all that you just said. Um, yeah, I don't know, like, because I
Mm.
watched it when it first came out, and so I remember at the time being really like impressed with how it, because the movie's like 2 hours long, almost 2 hours long. It takes its time, but like it, in terms of like the mood, right, it's like, and then various like the atmosphere and the build up of tension and all that kind of thing. I remember when it first came out being really, really impressed with that.
Mm.
And when I was recommending it to people at the time, that was what I was saying about it.
Okay.
And rewatching it now, I'm like, yeah, I still have
Yeah.
that opinion of it.
Yeah. 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 I don't know if it's just me. The jump scares have
Mm,
lessened in impact.
yeah.
You know, when you know what's coming, you know what's coming.
Mm,
But I think they rely on startlement more
yeah.
than building up to that in an interesting
Mm,
way.
yeah.
But otherwise, no, the actual what did they call it in the movie? The first stage of possession is it infestation?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
period, yeah, when they're just
Mm,
starting, it was
yeah.
the demons, Bathsheba, I
Yeah.
believe it was
Yeah.
named. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
play with them.
I
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like the bit where she's like up on top of the wardrobe
Hmm.
and jumps down.
Hmm.
Because that's a little bit too early in the film for me, for my liking.
It is
Because
too
at that
early.
point
Yeah.
it's still like
Mm.
that like subtle stuff that's, and all of the scares throughout that part of the
Yeah.
film,
Are
because
really
they're
good.
so like subtle and they're more based on like that mood and all that. Like them playing the clapping game, for
Yeah,
instance,
yeah, I love
and
hide and clap.
that,
Yeah.
oh, so good.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, all those little subtle things were really, really good. And then all of a sudden you have that. I felt that it was a little bit too early in the film to have that kind of moment. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, like there's some really, really good moments overall in the movie. So yeah, them doing the clapping game was really good. And then also the bit where like Lorraine kind of turns around and she sees like the hanging legs behind Ed. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I really like that moment. And then the bit where
Yeah.
she's hanging the washing on the line and it's really, really
Yeah.
windy and the sheet falls down and falls over like a figure for a
Yeah.
moment. and then blows away. That's a really, really
Yeah.
good moment too. And
That
they're not
yeah.
like actual like jump scares or anything,
No. They're
but there's
little
still a
artistic
good
flares.
scare. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're
still a
stylistic
scare.
scares. Yeah, but
Mm,
there's style
yeah,
to them, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Just to cover some of the information for the listeners, viewers there, and if you've never heard of it, it's a 2013, 2014, I'm sure it came
Mm,
out here,
yeah.
supernatural horror film. It's directed by James Wan, and it is written by Chad Hayes and Carrie Hayes. It's the inaugural film in the Conjuring universe. We've done Annabelle, yeah? So
Mm,
we've gone back, which is cool because the movie actually starts with a little
yeah,
flashback
with
to
Annabelle. Yeah,
who we
yeah.
met in Annabelle. Of course, it involves the Warrens. Eric and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators, and the Vera Farmiga, who you're talking about there in those
Mm,
few
yeah.
stylistic scare scenes. She really
Mm,
conveys through acting what's
yeah.
going on. Well, she heightens it, yeah, really
Yeah.
nicely. I really do like her. The paranormal investigators, they're very famous. You know, most people out there will
Mm,
know who
yeah.
they are. Authors associated with prominent cases of haunting. Their purportedly real life reports inspired the Amityville horror story
Mm,
and film
yeah.
franchise. Yeah. The Warrens came to the assistance of the Perron family, and that's who the
Yeah.
bad stuff happens to in this film, who experience increasingly disturbing events in the newly occupied farmhouse in Rhode Island, 1971. So yeah, it's a 70s style
Yeah.
film. Just to cover a bit more of the cast there. Ed Warren is played by Patrick Wilson. Vera Farmiga, Lorraine Warren. Who else is worth pointing out? I really like Lily Taylor, who plays
Yeah.
Karen the mum in
Yeah.
this.
I like her as an actress.
So
Everything that
do I.
I've seen her in, I really,
Mhm.
really like her.
Mhm.
I don't like all of the movies that she's been in
No.
that I've seen, but everything that I've seen her in, I've really liked her performance. And she
Yeah,
was really, really good in this.
really emotive, and she
Mm,
plays a loving mum down to a
yeah.
T. Yes, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and she carries the ending. She kind of justifies
Mm,
it, gives it
yeah.
legitimacy. Yeah, I think as
Yeah.
well. They would have had trouble if it wasn't someone up to her par there.
Mm, yeah.
She's my MVP. She's the star player, I think, for me
Yeah.
in this movie, definitely. Yeah. And of course, it's a James Wan film. Um, I do have notes before I go through. Is there anything else? Is there anything you wanted to bring up? How did you find? What did you think? Yeah, it's been 10 years. You watched it again
Yeah.
recently.
Yes.
Sure, you'd recommend it to people, but did it hold up? You know, you've already kind of answered, did it hold up? And you mostly feel that it
Mm,
does, yeah? I mostly
yeah.
feel that it
Yeah.
does, yeah. Yeah. It is the second film in the Conjuring universe. Where do they go after this? I've got it right here. Just give me a sec. Conjuring 2, yeah, okay.
Mm,
They do go over to the UK for that. Then it swings to
yeah.
Annabelle Creation, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and this is still when it was a solid franchise slash universe.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because even though this movie still has some jump scares, it didn't feel as jump scare heavy as movies later on in this franchise
No,
because it
no.
was still focusing more on that
Yeah,
atmosphere and the mood rather
yeah.
than just like here's just a bunch
Mm,
of jump scares.
I wish Juan would have followed that path more.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because the man, I'm not going to diss him, but the man does love his jump
Yeah.
scares.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
really, really
And I mean,
does.
there's an audience for that. Like it's very much for like your average
Mhm.
mainstream moviegoer who usually isn't super into horror movies and doesn't want something that will actually give them nightmares or traumatize them, but they still want, because like jump scares can be fun.
Oh yeah,
And so
yeah.
if that, yeah, so there's definitely if it's more jump scares than anything else, it has a little bit more mainstream appeal. And that's
Yes.
why, unfortunately, there are so many movies that rely on that.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like dead meat. Yeah, and now one
Yeah.
channel entirely dedicated to
Mm.
kill counts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw his explanation to
Yeah.
it.
It's because
It's
the
good.
just the way that the views on various different
Yeah,
videos
the
that they put on there. Yeah, it
algorithms
fucks with the
nonsense.
algorithm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Which
that's
is
why.
yeah. Yeah, but it's such as the world we live in, but we won't go too
Yeah.
long deep into that. Conjuring movies, Annabelle movies, what I really like about them though is the properties, yes, the symbols, even if you will. Annabelle being a big one, the main one.
Yeah.
But there's other wonderful cursed objects and devices throughout these films, and the music box in
Yeah.
this film is one of them.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah. This is kind of, the item that you would associate with this movie.
Yes, absolutely. It's very old world, it's very carnivalesque, it's very spooky, it looks fun,
Yeah.
but underlying threat to it. And the whole ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. I had that on my phone for a while when this movie when people still did that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. So the music box was awesome. Yes, we shouted out the mum. Oh, the first death is a dog.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you've
I'm,
seen enough horror movies, the animal, the family pet is not making it out alive. And so if it does happen, that's a surprise. But then also, like, I'm watching it, they're moving into this new house and the dog refuses to go into the house. And it's like, clearly there's evil in this house. The dog doesn't want
The
to go in
dogs
there.
know.
Obviously.
The dogs know. They always know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and it was still daylight, and you walk outside and dog's dead. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah. And it's like a
interesting way
small
to
child. Yeah. A
present
small
that.
child discovers the dead dog.
Yeah. I'm gonna just note that down because I want to talk to you about that in horror movies. It's a whole thing. Okay. Do we like the Warrens? I'm assuming you know about the Warrens, yes, being the
Yeah,
game
I
as
don't
well.
know the full details as to like the amount of stuff they've been getting into, but like I think that a lot of people either if they genuinely do believe in all this kind of supernatural stuff and all that, then their opinion of the Warrens is going to be a lot different to people who don't believe in it because they're a bunch of con artists.
Yeah.
Which
Okay,
fair
good
enough.
point.
I can
Well
absolutely
said. Yeah.
understand people thinking that way. But I haven't really looked into it enough for me to form my own opinion. I don't know the way that they operated in terms of like how they interact with these people that they're helping or whatever. I don't know the full how they went about it. So
Did you watch Dead Meets Production Tales from Hell, the Amityville Horror? Yeah? Yeah, from what I've been told by other people who've looked into it more, because I'm pretty much on the
Oh
same
yeah,
level.
that whole story about like the true story of the Amityville stuff. Like that's a very interesting case.
I will post this
Poor
up
boy.
I will post this up on the Facebook Children. Give it a watch because it gives some good context to this film.
Yeah.
It shows the real life horror of people being assholes, really. Or well, a psycho
pretty much
killing his family, and then a whole bunch of people manipulating that. Yeah. And I believe, point, I believe that the Warrens did similar type things, not necessarily to the point to that extreme, but they did manipulate people to financial end. That's pretty much all I know at the moment. But you are right, but they hold great interest if you're into the supernatural at all. Yeah. Infestation, touched on that. Yeah, but it was just great little touches of that throughout the movie. We've seen it before, but it was done well. The dead birds, the birds hitting the window, landing dead. Pulled out. The little kid was pulled in bed. By the feet.
There's a lot of stuff in there that like you see fairly often in like supernatural horror movies and all that. And that's fine.
Possession movies, particularly.
It's very much it starts out almost like a haunted house kind of movie, and then it turns into a standard kind of possession movie by the end of it.
With strong family drama on undertones. Just to throw the ending out there, so this is your chance to go away now and watch it if you haven't. Just look it up; it's everywhere. What did you think of the end? Because It was the good work of The Exorcist, but it was a
Yeah,
lot of Love Saves the Day, yeah, which
yeah, yeah,
the Warrens are
yeah.
all about
Um,
in these
yeah.
films. Yeah.
Yeah, like so there's a bit earlier in the movie when they're looking at all the like family photos, and there's the one that is the whole family, and they have this little conversation about like, oh, it was this day on the beach, it was, the best day ever, I'll never forget about it, and going on about how much she loves her family and everything.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, it's really obvious that that's going to come back in an important way at the end of the movie,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah, yeah, yeah,
much how
yeah.
the she's no longer possessed, because remember that day that you had, and I'm just the climax of this exorcism, I'm like, why didn't they do half of this stuff to begin with? Like they're doing a more standard kind of exorcism thing, and then it all goes to
Hmm.
shit, and then all of a sudden
Okay, I have
the stuff they're
something
doing, I'm like,
to devil's
okay,
advocate. To devil's advocate,
yeah, 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 that's fair.
there is what's in it, Lorraine. Um,
Mm.
she does go through a lot of emotion. She enters the
Oh
film,
yeah,
the narrative in a state of trauma. Yeah, from that
yeah.
exorcism that we get to see later
Mm.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
briefly. And she is healing throughout this movie, and they do,
Mm.
and the parents and the Warrens heal together. God, it does sound like a Lifetime
Yeah, it
movie now that
is.
I
It
say it
does.
out
It really
loud.
does. Yeah.
And because with these movies, the second movie has a lot of heart as well.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that's what kind of drives the Warren. It's kind of the
Yeah.
emotional
Because I mean,
fuel of
they're
them.
both big families that need to be
Yeah,
helped with
absolutely.
like far too many children.
Do you think that when she puts her hand on the head and say, "This is
Yeah.
your daughter, remember,"
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
the first time the Warrens in this universe had tried to save the day with love, and hey, it worked? Because in the second one, they're all about the
Yeah.
love,
I
and
don't
then the
know.
third one,
Yeah.
love, saving the day with love becomes almost like a superpower in the Conjuring 3. Yeah,
My
oh, that's just me.
God.
But
Like
yeah,
it's a bit, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a little bit too sweet,
It's a
too
little bit too sweet,
saccharine for me, I think.
but it was shot well. It
Yeah,
was
yeah, it was.
performed well,
Yeah, there's some
especially
really,
by the
really
mum.
nice
Yeah.
cinematography. Mm.
So I didn't hate it. Usually, if it had been in
Yeah.
other hands, I would have been going,
Mm.
really? That's how you're going to end
Yeah.
this? Well, I'm
Yeah.
disappointed. Next. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
to put a positive spin on it, but it is a Love
Mm.
Saves the Day people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie people.
Yeah.
What else did I have? I thought the camera work was nice in this as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
I should look up the cinematography here. But it was seemed to take on Bathsheba's, the demon's point of view,
Mm.
an invisible point of view that
Mm.
can't be seen by the others.
Yeah.
Because what was it that was shot that I noted down? Girls scared by thing behind the door. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the camera actually kind of moves out like it's a steady cam, and then
Mm.
comes along and quickly tracks to where the parents are and their reaction sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like the
Yeah.
demon going in, messing around, and then
Yeah.
because it actually looked into the room before the parents reacted, and then they
Mm.
got up, sort of
Yeah.
thing. The demon was there
Mm.
first, and I noticed a few more other points like that. I thought there was a
Yeah.
nice kind of stylistic, formal touch. The sound design was cool. Soundtrack was cool.
Mm.
Yeah, I thought that was really done very nicely. Was that no? Okay. A lot of heart, blah blah. Covered that. Good 70s style. And
Yeah.
simulation. Well, do you agree?
Mm. Especially the fashion.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Also, like at one point, like Vera Farmiga as Lorraine, she's wearing this vest and this blouse, and the collar on the blouse is like ruffled and it's like sticks out. I'm just like, I'm in love with this.
Yeah.
Also, something throughout the way the wardrobe for the Warrens over this entire series, they're always matching.
Oh.
In that, for instance, you've got like the pattern on Lorraine's skirt is the same pattern on Ed's tie. Like their clothes are always matching. That's kind of like, because they're like this unit
Oh,
working together,
really?
this,
I didn't
kind
spot
of thing.
that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Really
Wow.
good little like thing from
Yeah, that's
wardrobe.
cool. That is cool.
Yeah,
Shout out wardrobe. That's a nice touch.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I put great subtle touches like the laundry
Mm,
sheet scene, which you pointed out. That
yeah,
was one of my favorite moments as well.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. The ghost made sense. All of the
mm,
what the presentation on the screen where you actually saw a
mm,
visualization of them, why they were
yeah,
there, what built up to a
mm,
moment of horror after these
yeah,
visualizations
mm,
was done really well. And that's more effective than a startle, a jump scare
yeah, yeah,
startle for me,
absolutely.
that sort
Yeah.
of thing. That and
Mm,
because there's a lot of movies where you'll just see ghosts and they'll just be bow, 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 something
yeah.
happens. You know what I mean? So there was some actual, yeah, with the
Mm,
writers there, shout out, that was actually well put together.
yeah.
Um, Bathsheba was cool, but like seeing her too early, the possession of Mum
Mm,
was a bit rushed. Didn't really see much of Bathsheba.
yeah.
And then boom, she's
Mm,
possessed. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was a little too rushed. Sort of. There are moments in this film where
Mm,
the pacing's a little off, a little off. I
yeah.
don't think it's a dated thing. I just think it was initially a little off, but that's okay. That's okay. Hey, it
Mm.
made a better film than I have. um, Naming of demon and love saves the day, blah blah
Mm,
blah. And yeah, and they're all in a big love family pile at the end of the film outside. The
yeah.
Warrens are hugging each other. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And so there's going to be absolutely no long-lasting trauma from them
Ab-
going through that. Like,
yeah,
yes, mom, I
absolutely.
know it wasn't you that you were possessed and all that, but also like visually it was you.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Indeed. Would you like to rate it, Dorian?
yeah, I rated it 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Same, same, same,
Mm.
same. So, Eva
And that
popcorn.
was what yeah, that was what I rated it when I first watched it as well.
Okay. I rated it a little higher back then. Like
Mm,
retrospectively, I would have given it a 4
yeah.
because I was really quite into it. The hide and clap,
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
that scene
Oh yeah.
stole that scare
Mm,
stole my heart back in the day.
yeah.
And it's
So
still
good.
really
Yeah.
good. It's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good. But
Even
for
though
now,
it's in the trailer as well. But
is it?
like,
Okay.
yeah. But
Okay.
even if you've seen it in the trailer, it's still effective in the movie itself.
Yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, so 3.5 for both of us. So that's
Mm,
very satisfying in evil popcorn
mm,
terms. Yeah, almost on the way to being evil. On the way to being evil. But it's a lot of love in this film, but that's fine. That's fine. And the second one gets way more lovey, actually. Well, not lovey, it's
yeah.
very that gets very emotive. There's lots of, monologues in the rain
Mm,
and such. But I
yeah.
think it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not mocking it. I'm
Yeah.
interested to see
Yeah.
what I'll think now. What I'll think now. It did make me want to
Um,
go back and watch the Insidious films because I have watched all
mm,
of the Conjuring.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
I'm so ready to see Lipstick Face Demon again.
yeah, he is
So ready
great,
for
isn't
that.
he?
I
Yeah, with
love
the top.
him.
It's
Just
Tiny Tim.
vibing to yeah, Tiny
Yeah,
Tim
yeah.
tiptoe through the tulips, just vibing to that.
When I saw that, I was like,
But
yes, that is the best.
the first time you see him, I mean, we'll go into it more when we cover the movie,
Mhm.
but like like there's a the first time you see him and the jump scare from that is in the trailer and literally all the promo images for the movie with
Huh.
him like appearing behind Patrick Wilson.
You can't. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and
Mm.
that annoyed me from the get-go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why do they do that? But
I don't know.
then also,
Mm.
Insidious has Lee Winnell in it.
Ah, who does he play
He's
again?
one of the he's one of the guys helping out Lynn Shay. It's him and Angus Sampson, who I know him from back in the day. Thank God You're Here, which was
Is
a improv sketch show on TV. The original run of that, Angus Sampson was on that, and he was really really good on that. So when I watched Insidious, I'm like, hang on, I know him from TV. Yeah,
and
the two of them, they're
is
the
he
people
Australian? Is he
helping out the
Australian?
yeah,
Is Ang
yeah,
oh and okay,
yeah,
so Angus is the big guy, so the smaller guy's Lee.
yeah,
Am I correct?
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
didn't fucking know that. Thank you.
yeah.
That's why you're on the pod right there. That's fucking cool. That is fucking cool. And yeah, if you don't know, yeah, Juan and Wanel did the created Saw. Yeah, they're responsible for
Yes.
Saw. Yeah, absolutely. And stay tuned. All I'll say for now. Yeah,
Yes. Oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm so looking forward to getting to
yeah.
cover that one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you want to? I was going to talk to you about it, but we'll bring it up right now.
Mm.
Did you want to do? for those episodes of full plot walkthrough so we can relish over the traps and such as
Yes,
yes, I think it's
absolutely.
important. It
Yes.
needs to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
keep watching.
Mm.
Any final words now that we've rated it? Yes, we do like it and we do recommend it. Absolutely. Yes, and it's
Yeah.
held up fairly well. Yes.
Yeah.
Any final words on that, or should we get into what we've been watching?
Yeah, I've got no other comments about The Conjuring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing Insidious next in terms of
Yes.
the gateway tier Horror Iceberg. That's not what I want to be bringing up. Give me 1 second there, Dorian. I'm just going to bring up my list. My watch list. I'm shamefully behind with my letterbox. Really need to do it. I don't know why I don't. I could just put, I don't even need to write a lot in it. Okay. All right, March. I finished True Detective season 4.
Mm.
You ever seen the True Detectives?
No.
Okay. 1 and 4. 1 and 4.
Mm.
They're the seasons if you ever do, yeah?
Yeah.
Because they have a touch of Cthulhu. Just a sprinkle of Cthulhu. Yeah.
Just a single tentacle.
Exactly. A sucker.
Yeah.
A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, director Anna Lily Amirpour. She's Middle Eastern. It's on me that I don't know. Have you seen this one? It's a vampire film.
Yes, I have.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very like artsy and very much
Yeah.
just a sort of character study rather than having any kind of like proper storyline to it. But yeah, I liked it.
I liked it. I wouldn't watch it again. I think sorry, I've got a cold, children. Apologies. What's the Tilda Swinton vampire one with Tom Hiddleston?
Only Lovers Left Alive.
I think that does it better. Not to discredit what the feminist messaging of the other film of Girl Works Home Alone at Night, but on a personal enjoyment level, I think it does what this movie is trying to do in terms of style, shall we say, just purely in terms of style. Because putting on a track to create diegetic vibes within the film is cool, but do we need to stand there at the turntable for about 10 minutes and this informal framing with most of the frame behind her, then the guy comes up. But no, good movie nonetheless. I haven't mentioned this before to you, have I? That movie? I haven't talked to you about that before on this pod.
Yeah, we went through some stuff from
Am
March,
I on the wrong month? I am on the wrong month. Okay, I'm going to cut all that out. My apologies. Have I already done? We went through half the March stuff.
Yeah, when we did
that's right. We went through half.
Yeah, when we did The Ring, we went through like the previous month and what we'd seen in March. Up until that point.
My list is very embarrassing in terms of smallness. Whatever. Okay, so that's right. We talked about Satanic Hispanics because we watched Ring.
Yeah.
I watched David Lynch's June, The Outwaters. Yeah. Which I did like, but structurally not sound. Yeah, it could
Yeah,
be
it's too
shorter,
long.
tighter,
It's too
shorter, tighter.
long.
Wonderful
Mm,
imagery and what they did with sound,
yeah.
natural
Mm,
disaster sound,
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
freaked me out a little bit there, Dorian.
Yeah,
I've
like
been
all
in,
of the
please.
yeah, because it's 2 hours long. The first
Yeah.
hour is the setup, and then the second hour is when stuff starts happening. And all that stuff is like really, really cool imagery and really, like you said, good use of sound and all that kind of stuff. It
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
went on for way too long. And so I feel that those cool moments lost their effectiveness. And you kind of just like, okay, yeah, I get it. Can we move on now? Like, it just needed to be trimmed down a decent amount. And then I would have liked it a lot more.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think we have talked about pretty much everything. We've only just started. Ah, and I mentioned Francis Ha, Butterfly Kisses. Yeah, because yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We were
we've talked
talking
about.
about it
Oh,
at
we've
Eagle
already talked
Corp.
about this. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And I think I've mentioned it on this. Yeah.
I don't think
Oh,
so.
all right. I'll keep going. Keep going. Apologies. My best friend is stuck on the ceiling. That was just a short comedic
Mm,
thing, boyfriend game. This is yeah, that's just school stuff.
yeah.
Annabelle, which we have done.
Mm,
Dancing the Invisible, which is about a very cool Australian female editor from the 60s
mm,
and 70s and stuff. That was very cool. Butterfly Kisses. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I thought it was good. It's a
Mm,
very, as you both said, you and Liam, was it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Liam. Yeah.
The meta narrative actually is
Yeah.
works really well. Yeah. And in a found
Yeah.
footage film, even at the best of times, that's hard to pull
Mm,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And the main guy was good. Yeah, he was just,
Mm,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And Francis Ha, I liked it, but it's not horror, so we won't mention it. All right, the movies that I've watched so far, then, and I will come back at the end, start of May, to do a full April list. But I'll just
Mm,
mention at this point, I watched Saint Maud again. Remind me if I've
mm.
asked you if you've watched this.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Do you like?
You haven't? Yeah. Yeah. I liked it.
Mhm.
It's very much just about like religious fervor, basically,
Yeah,
and
what I
like
liked,
guilt and all
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah,
And yeah,
it's being
the ending was
possessed.
cool.
The ending
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Mm,
I did an analytical thing for it at school, but basically
yeah.
I chose that ending, yeah,
Oh,
to
yeah. Yeah.
analyze, yeah, and then I
Yeah.
showed my shout out Alex, showed the
Yeah.
editor in class with everyone else
Yeah.
standing around, and I didn't have any headphones. The sound was up a bit,
Oh, yeah.
and so at the very final scene,
Mm,
won't spoil
yeah.
that because people need
Mm,
to see this film and see this final scene, this final shot, I should say.
yeah.
And then everyone was just going, walking past, what the fuck? And even the teacher was up, oh. But they can't say no. But I really like this film. I thought it was
Mm,
fantastic. I love that it's a film about a person being possessed by God, not the devil.
yeah.
I thought that was a
Mm,
wonderfully original take. The chickie, I can't remember her name, played Saint Maud, was
mm,
wonderful. So was her the person that she was caring for, the old
yeah.
Hollywood starlet, yeah, the
Mm.
dancer. Rose Glass has now released Love Lies Bleeding. I'm sure everyone knows what that
Oh,
film is
yeah. I
out
need
there.
to
Yeah,
watch that
that's her
one.
second
Yeah.
film.
I need to
She's
watch that one.
she's done a queer, ultra-violent crime drama now, and
Yeah.
apparently it's amazing. So
Yeah.
to go
Also,
from
it's Kristen Stewart in it. So
yeah,
obviously I'm gonna want to
okay,
watch
okay, yeah.
it.
Yeah, I'm beginning to like her. I'm beginning to like her. It's
Yeah.
taken a
Yeah.
longer time for me from Twilight. Like Robert Pattinson,
Mm,
I started
yeah.
liking more after
Mm,
Twilight, but Kirsten's starting to catch up to me now as
yeah.
well. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
she is cool. She is cool. I watched The Antisocial Network.
Mm,
This is just in April. Memes and Mayhem. Yeah. Shout out
mm,
Sam again, Sam Hoyas for the suggestion, the heads up. Yeah, what it is, it's kind of mm, an argument for why Donald Trump got elected via the internet,
mm,
via nerds, to put it simply,
yeah. Yeah.
from 2chan to 4chan to 8chan to
Mm,
Gamergate to Anonymous to Occupy Wall Street to Save the Steel,
mm,
Donald Trump, all that.
mm,
It shows how the internet, basically the memification, or as they called it, the chanification.
mm,
Because back in the start, memes were not nice. Yeah, they weren't
yeah.
shared.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And Q. We can't forget about
Mm.
Q Anon, because Q Anon is a
Oh,
result of
yeah.
all of this. And then, of course, it all climaxed stupidly with
Mm.
January the 6th.
January
Yeah.
6th.
So it's a
Yeah.
movie that pieces it all, the timeline all
Oh,
together.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
impressive thing with this documentary. So if that interests you at all, their children, definitely
Mm.
check it out. It's on Netflix now. I watched Beaten to Death,
Yeah.
Dorian.
What do you think?
Woo. I was beaten to death, but
Yeah,
watching this film
there's not much of a story, to be honest, but like
doesn't
it's
need
a
it.
movie called Beaten to Death.
Mm.
Why are you going into a movie called Beaten to Death and expecting like this intense narrative driven thing? Like it's gnarly, and the shots of the Australian landscape is absolutely beautiful, fantastic.
hmm
Love
hmm
that.
hmm
Yeah,
hmm
so
And it's
yeah.
yeah, it's one of those I would call an Australian gothic horror, or a gothic horror played
Mm,
out, or a horror played
yeah.
out on the Australian landscape, however you want to coin
Mm,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it is in the same, school, the same lineage of Picnic at Hanging Rock. It is
Yeah.
in the same genre, but no. It is in the opposite end of the spectrum
Yeah.
in terms of
Yeah.
physical contact, brutality, violence. It is constant, and it is about some. We're going to cover it properly on Evil
Yeah.
Popcorn. Shout out
Yeah.
Holdfast Public Relations for the screener. But yeah, and it's just about yeah, a lot of violence and not being able to escape that violence no matter what you do. And the way
Yeah.
they write that, the way they structure not being able to escape.
Yeah, because it's a
Yeah, it's
non-linear
yeah,
story as
yeah, it
well.
is. Yeah, it is. Because it confused me at the start, at what
Yeah.
was going
Yeah.
on. He can see, he can't see, he's running away, his back
Yeah.
sort of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
but then when it all
Yeah.
comes together,
Over the course of it, yeah, over
mm,
the course of it, because it's non-linear, you find out why he's even in this
yeah,
situation
yeah,
at all. Because
puts
you know,
it,
it
drops it
doesn't
here in
play out
great. Yeah,
chronologically.
no,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, if you do come to see watch it, overseas people, Americans,
Mm.
etc. Yeah, these people are kind of real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. These people are kind of real. So I thought it was great. I thought it was
Mm.
fucking brilliant, to be honest. I
Mm.
really liked it. Yeah, brilliant. I thought it was brilliant, beautiful, brilliant, and brutal. Yeah.
Mm.
I like alliteration. Along those lines of dark, not a horror, but it's a dark Western.
Mm.
It is called Sweet Country, the Australian
Okay.
film. Yeah. It has, what's his name? Barry Brown and Sam Neill. I
Yeah.
like Sam Neill. I'm a Sam Neill
Mm.
fan.
Yeah.
And it is about early colonial times. And it is about Indigenous man is going to be hung for shooting a white man.
Mm.
But the way the play, the characters, the dynamics, the tension, the conflict, there's moments of violence and brutality
Yeah.
towards all people. So
Mm.
I'm not going to trigger warn, but it is an intense fucking film. That's
Mm.
definitely, it's one of those just hard hitting, dark, heavy dramas that will leave you crying. And I didn't grow up here, but I've been here 13, near 14 years now,
Mm.
starting to get a feel for an understanding and feel for such
Yeah.
things. Even it does hit hard. It does hit hard.
Yeah.
When you want to switch from horror, their children, but you still want something legitimate and serious.
Yeah.
Sweet Country, I would recommend.
Mm.
And yeah, have you seen Immaculate? It's my final
I
one.
haven't yet. I
I've seen
haven't
it.
yet.
I've
Yeah.
seen it.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's
Yeah.
very good. It's very good.
Mm.
Um, Sydney Sweeney, you're a G for making it
Mm.
happen. I don't know if you know that, Dorian. She auditioned for it about 14 years ago before she was
Oh,
famous,
wow.
and then the movie
Yeah.
ran out of funding. So what if I have the
Yeah.
information correct?
Yeah.
So what she did is she went away and got famous, and when she was famous, she came back and
Oh,
here's a
cool.
bunch of fucking money. I'm
Yeah.
producer, and put me in
Yeah.
the lead. Yeah, and she's
Oh,
great, and
she
she's
obviously
really
really, really wanted that movie
yeah.
to exist then if she did that.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And it is a good story. You've seen it before, but it's set up in a way when it gets
Mm.
the horror is set up in a way that is very interesting and unique.
Yeah.
Yes. And which
Mm.
seems to be a bit of a trend, taking the blueprints and just altering them here and there to
Yeah.
see what is possible at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that. And keep experimenting and then
Mm.
eventually feel more confident to get wilder with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ending is not as crazy as it's made out to be. Virtually every single movie review podcast, I'm going, oh my God, the ending. I don't know if it's just me because the movie's fucking blasphemous, but I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the ending is extremely blasphemous, but I was like, yeah, but it makes sense. Yeah, but I'm not going to spoil it. But trust me, in my opinion, it's justified. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to decry that little bit of hype there. Yeah, but it's still a really good ending. It's just like people were like, I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
What is happening? Is brains melting and blood
I'm at
flying?
the point.
What's happening?
Yeah. I'm at the point now where like I take that kind of stuff with a grain of salt.
Yeah. You've got to.
It's like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. But no, definitely, I definitely recommend. I think you will quite like it. I gave it a 3.5. It's a 3.5. Have you seen The First Omen? Or is it out yet? I don't
No,
think
I haven't yet. It is out yet. It is
out. Okay.
It's apparently really good.
I've heard
it's getting
it's
really good reviews.
Yeah, I need to see that one next. I'm in a kind of religious horror possession mode. So which is cool. And apart from a whole bunch of, YouTube podcasts like stuff that is not relevant whatsoever, that's what I've watched last half of March and the start of April. Dorian, take it away. What have you got for us?
I've watched a lot, so I'm just going to go with the ones that are worth actually talking about.
Okay. Yes, cool.
So I watched Frogman, which was one that I found out about a couple months before it actually came out, and I'm like, that sounds really cool. If I remember correctly, it's shot on VHS. It's a found footage movie. Shot on VHS. And basically, it's this guy who, on a family vacation, he ended up capturing footage of this like frog man looking thing. And it's like in the same way of like other cryptids. Like, here's this footage of like, this particular cryptid and all that. And him and one other guy have ever like captured any kind of footage. And he's now like this 30-something-year-old. He doesn't really have much going on in his life. And he's been accused of faking this footage. So he's like, no, I'm going to prove that was real. So he takes some of his friends with him to go to the location.
It sounds like Bigfoot.
Where it was.
It sounds like Bigfoot.
Kind of. And so this small town, basically their entire economy is based around, the fact that, hey, we're the town that has Frogman. So they go there, these like people on the street interviews, and like they have this one exchange with the guy who's there saying, oh, this is what I've heard about Frogman, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, so you're saying that Frogman fucks? It's like, yeah, Frogman fucks. And so they end up going and finding out deeper into the woods. They're camping out, and they end up finding Frogman. And it gets really cool. And I saw someone in the reviews compare it to Shadow over Innsmouth at the end. And I'm like, okay, I can see that comparison.
That piques me
not to give any spoilers. I like found footage. Yeah, so I like found footage, so I really enjoyed that one. I watched stop motion. I really, really like stop motion.
What's it on? What's it on?
Stop motion style.
No, but on what platform? What platform do you know?
I think I just watched it on one of my streaming sites. That's just if it's available, here it is.
One of them. Okay.
Yeah. But
because I really want to watch this.
Yes, it's a stop motion artist. Just delving in, like she's wanting to create this stop motion film, and she just goes a bit crazy trying to create it. Crazy artist just breaking down trying to create this piece of art. And the stop motion style is a really, really cool style. It's by the same guy that did D for D Loust in ABC's of Death 2.
I
really, really like that look.
It's fucked up, but it's good.
Flashy. Kind of gross.
I watched that in the Uber on the way to work.
It gets cool.
Like, ooh, it's good. It's good.
I watched the movie Monolith. I watched Monolith. That has Lily Sullivan, who plays Beth. So Lily Sullivan, she's an Australian actress. She plays Beth, the main character in Evil Dead Rise. And this movie is pretty much could easily be like a fiction horror podcast, the way that it plays out. because
Oh,
she's
really?
doing this she's creating this podcast that is like investigating mysteries and all that. She gets
Uh-huh.
this anonymous email giving her a lead to look into something. And then so it's basically just her in this house that she's temporarily staying with her parents. They're out of the country at the time. So just her alone in this big, massive, rich person house, these massive, just wall, like floor to ceiling glass walls kind of thing. And she's investigating and tracking down these leads about this mystery that she's unraveling. And so, it's pretty much, yeah, it's only her. She's the only actor that you see. Everyone else is like on the phone that she's talking with.
Oh,
And it
okay.
just the way that it unravels and all
Okay.
that. And yeah,
Yeah.
like I said,
Okay.
it could easily be a fiction horror podcast.
And what's it
The
called
way that
again,
is,
please?
because majority of it is just audio that's happening and her having
Okay.
conversations and unraveling this mystery. And it starts to get to her and she starts to unravel as well. Monolith.
Mono,
Yeah.
thank you.
Um, I watched Double
That sounds good.
Blind.
I want to watch that. Yeah.
Double Blind. So there's a bunch of people who are doing like, how those like drug companies. Yeah, drug companies that like when they're like, hey, we'll pay you this money if you are willing to be like a participant in this like drug trial. That's
Guinea
basically what they're
pigs.
doing. And they're
Yeah.
held in this facility for the duration of the trial. And it goes wrong and there's now a lockdown. The place is locked down for the next 24 hours. And there's been some unexpected side effects from this drug that they've been taking, where the inflammation it's causing in their brain means that like if they fall asleep, then that inflammation will just kind of go a little bit too haywire and they'll end up dying. And I'm a real sucker for like The Mist, them trapped in the supermarket is like the best example of it. But
Ah,
like a bunch of
the
people who have various different personalities and belief systems and all that kind of stuff that are trapped in this situation. They can't leave.
yeah. Yeah,
And
sure.
just over the course
Yeah.
of it, just the tension and the way in which they
Yeah.
just turn on each other and all that. Like I'm a sucker for those kinds of movies.
That's
And so
what
because of
like
that, I really enjoyed
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Romero, I
Yeah.
just throwing it out there, kind of really kind of
Mm.
started that whole kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
with the trilogy of the Dead
Mm.
movies.
Yeah.
I really like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
confirming a bunch of movies that I've seen
Yeah.
on
I'm
Spooky
a
about these
sucker
films. Please.
for that kind of genre.
Yeah, same, absolutely. You're confirming that a lot of these movies
Oh
are
yeah.
good. That
Especially
Spooky
anything.
Astronauts
I
suggested.
watched
Yeah,
a
so
yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
yeah. Spooky
please
Astronauts,
continue.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, shout out.
There was a found footage movie. It's just a little bit over an hour, so I'm like, yeah, why not check it out? It's called Mr. Creep.
Good name, good
It's
name.
fine, but like, yeah, there were some good like creepy moments in it that I appreciated, but overall, it's like, but it was only an hour, so
Yeah, sure. Okay.
like,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
I really liked Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Some
go see
really
it
cool,
soon.
yeah, some cool stuff with that. Because I definitely could see the influence from something like Ghostwatch.
Yeah.
I also got WNUF Halloween special vibes from it as well. Um,
What's that?
and yeah, so like it's yeah, so that's it's a designed to look like a taping of, so it has all the like visual distortions and graininess from it
Uh-huh.
of this late night special like TV show, whatever. It's Halloween night and they're doing this like, oh yeah, and later on tonight we're going to do this seance in this house, this old haunted house. And they like it's very much like Ghostwatch where they're constantly cutting back to the people
Okay.
in the house and what's going on
Okay.
there, and then they're having these like puff pieces segments and ads and all that kind of stuff over the whole thing. And then it just obviously this seance goes wrong and it's yeah. So if you
Cool.
like that kind of vibe, definitely check out WNUF
Yeah, I do.
Halloween special.
Yeah, I've never heard of
Yeah,
it.
I liked Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah,
So
I'm definitely gonna check that out. Yeah.
um
Cool.
yeah. I watched You'll Never Find Me, which was recently added to Shudder. It's an
Uh-huh.
Australian one, and that's one that it's single location and just two
Mhm.
characters.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
yeah, I mean the ending, I'm like, oh,
Question.
is that what it was?
Question with this I
Okay.
want
But
to
otherwise,
ask.
it's good. Mm,
question I want to ask with this, because it's been a bit of a critique. Like, people have really
mm,
thought the film was done really well. Like the
yeah.
initial, like everything except the
Mm,
pace. Yeah. The
yeah.
one big
Yeah.
complaint I've heard, that this is too slow of a burn. Do you agree or no?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, because it's just a lot of because yeah, it's a single location and it's two characters and that's the entire and they're just talking and that's the
Okay.
movie until you get to like the climax of the film.
Oh,
And so
okay.
yeah,
Oh, that
and
is a
so I
lot.
can absolutely see
Yeah.
people, yeah, for people like if you're not into that kind of stuff, then like yeah,
Hmm.
it's very slow because it's like okay, like I just want to figure out what's going on, like who's the person that I need to be wary of here because they're both acting a bit sus.
Is it a
But
horror
then
or is it
once
a?
it's all like, oh, okay, so that's what's happening, and then the final reveal at the end, it's just.
Okay. Is it a horror though, or with? Sorry. Oh, hang on, Dorian. You're answering.
It's more of a like
Carry on.
suspenseful. Oh
Yeah, that's what I
yeah,
was
yeah.
thinking.
By
Yeah.
the end of it, yeah,
Yeah. Okay, but
yeah,
it's would you call
yeah.
it more
By
of
the
a
end of it,
thriller?
it definitely delves into horror.
Okay. But suspense thriller sort
Yeah,
of thing to
yeah.
that
It's
point.
more suspenseful and all that kind of
Okay.
stuff. Mm,
But it's got an
yeah,
Australian
yeah.
Gothic setting though,
Um,
as well, because it's the horror of the
yeah,
landscape, isolation of the landscape
yeah,
as well. Yeah,
yeah,
okay. Which is interesting. Yeah.
yeah. It's this guy. Yeah, he lives in a trailer park
Okay.
and then there's this massive storm and this young woman knocks
Yeah.
on his door and he lets her in. It's like, oh, like stay in here, until you, at least until you get dry, that kind of stuff. And then, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Um,
Cool.
Another one
Next,
that I
please.
watched was the last movie that I watched of March was a movie by Frank Henenlotter, who did Basket Case,
Okay.
Frankenhooker, that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yep.
It's very much a Frank Henenlotter film. But this is a more recent one. This was in 2008, and it's a bit insane. um, yeah, it's very basically two main characters, and both of them have weird shit going on with their genitals. Um, at one point, the guy has like a massive, huge cock that has a mind of its own. And at one point, it like detaches itself from him and just is bursting
Ah,
through like floorboards and
disposable
walls
penis.
like the Kool-Aid man and just fucking all these random people. And like yeah, it's
Wow.
very sleazy.
He didn't
It's
calm down at
entirely about
all, did he?
sex.
He did not
Um,
calm down at all from the
yeah,
80s
yeah.
to
So like, yeah,
2008.
it's very, very low budget. Yeah, yeah. Very,
Shit.
very low budget, very, very sleazy. It's entirely about sex. It's not about anything other than that. But
Yeah, I liked
I had a
Frankenhooker.
fun time.
I liked Frankenhooker. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no, yeah, I'll be down with it.
yeah,
Watch it. Yeah, yeah, cool.
yeah,
So that's March. So what have you
yeah.
watched in April so far
And
then,
then
Dorian?
some of the stuff I watched in April. I
Hmm,
watched one that's called 247 Degrees Fahrenheit. Because I'm a fan of those kinds of we're trapped in this fucked up situation. So like Fall that came out the other year, 27 meters down.
sure.
Um
Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Frozen. There was a movie called Frozen that's a horror movie. These people are like trapped on like a ski lift and there's big
Okay,
blizzards coming in and the park is shut down for the weekend because of this big
okay.
blizzard and they're
So this
stuck
is
up there and they need to find
okay.
yeah. I'm a
Nature
sucker for
is the
those kinds of
monster.
movies.
Nature is the monster
Yeah.
in these films. Yeah.
Yeah. In this one, some people get trapped in a sauna and they got to find a way to get out. It was fine,
It's fine. Better than Night
nothing
Swim?
too special.
Better than Night Swim.
I haven't seen Night Swim. I
Ah,
haven't
because
seen Night
that's
Swim. I
my
will get
contender
around to
for
watching
worst
it,
movie of
but
the year.
yeah.
So, yeah.
uh,
Yeah, thanks.
um, I watched some found footage movies that are called the Fear Footage. That's the series. The
Okay,
first
keep
one's
talking.
okay. There's some good build up of tension within it. But the one that I liked best was the second one because the
Hmm.
last 20
Hmm.
minutes of it are just
Hmm.
so just that good, like, oh God, kind of because everything's just insane and the tension and all that build up. But the fear footage is essentially like a very much like the VHS movies. It's like an anthology kind of thing. and it has a wraparound story and all that. And then the fear footage 2 is this guy who is one of the actors in one of the segments in the first film, and he's found out that, hold up, like I'm on this film. This is a film that exists and I'm on it. I was not in any film, and like, but that's me, and that's my name that he's saying that he has. What's going on there? And he ends up tracking down other people who also are on this movie, who have no recollection of being in a movie. And they track that down, and then stuff that's from that original tape, that first movie, comes into play. And then the third movie, the first and second movie exist within that universe. It's kind of like how that's the case in the Human Centipede movies. You know how in Human Centipede 2, Human Centipede exists as a movie, and in the third one, Human Centipede 1 and 2 exist as movies. It's kind of like that. And if you kind of just, once you get into it, especially by the third one's fine, but by that point, because everything from these previous 2 movies come back around, when you see these little moments, you're like, oh shit, that's from that. So I had a good time.
No, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
I'm a mark for found footage, and if there's something that interests me, one little element, I'm watching it. So thank you.
Yeah. I watched a movie. It was a French film from 2010. English name is The Pack, and it's kind of within that thing of your new French extremity, kind of.
Which I do
but
like.
then also by the end, I'm like, why are there like pretty much like zombies coming out of the ground? I don't know. It got a little bit ridiculous, but up until that point, I was really, really on board with it.
What was it called? The Park or the Pack?
The Pack, PACK.
The Pack. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I watched one called The Tortured that had Bill Moseley in it. Basically, like this couple, their son has been kidnapped, and then he's been found, and he's been tortured and killed. And the guy who was the culprit, he's now been sentenced like 25 to life. And this couple, they're like, no, that's not enough. He needs to properly suffer for what it is he's done. So they've hatched this plan to, while he's being transported, to hijack the vehicle, get him, and then essentially torture him. And the husband, he's a doctor, so he has access to all kinds of stuff to make sure that this guy stays alive for as long as they want him to stay alive.
Oh, that's all
the ending shit.
Yeah, okay.
The ending was not. Didn't like the ending.
I do like people being tortured and then being tended to so they can be tortured more.
Have you seen?
That's a very nice sadistic advice. No.
Have you seen the Japanese movie Grotesque?
No.
Does a lot of that because it's literally that. It's literally that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then it's like,
Sorry. After you.
And then I remembered the movie Dying Breed. Dying Breed. And I'm like, shit, I watched that movie when it came out in cinemas in 2008. And Lee Winnell's one of the main characters in it. I need to rewatch this. And what I remember from the movie were literally like the standout points in the movie. Everything else was just fine. So some people, I'm
looking at the images now.
They travel down to Tasmania to this like really rural, like woodsy, foresty kind of areas of the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger. Potentially there's, they're still around. That's the reason why they're there. And then it tries to do like Wrong Turn.
Okay, yeah, I can see that in some of the images.
It's not as good. It's not as good. It doesn't hit the mark.
That's a shame.
And then, so you got 2 male main characters in it, Lee Winnell, and then the other one is the Australian in the one that isn't Mick Taylor, the other guy, the one that, of the 3 people that Mick Taylor in Wolf Creek kidnaps and tortures and all that kind of stuff, because it's 2 women and a man. He's the other main guy in Dying Breed. So I'm like, okay, cool. But then when I finished watching Dying Breed, I'm like, shit, man. Between Saw and this movie, Lee Winnell has some really bad luck. Like he has some bad ends in both of those movies. God damn. Like I was seeing some real similarities. I'm
Uh,
like, oh, poor buddy.
hopefully
But
the
yeah, so that was
Wolfman,
the ones.
hopefully, yeah, the Wolfman
Yeah.
survives
Oh, I
better.
hope so. I hope so.
Fares
Because
better,
I
yeah?
love the original Wolfman.
Yeah,
Like I'm really
yeah.
fussy with my werewolf movies, and the
Okay,
Wolfman is
same.
one of my favorite werewolf
Okay,
movies.
nice, nice.
So yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to that coming out at
Yeah.
some
Those are
point
of
this
the
year.
movies that I've seen that are worth
Okay,
talking about. Yeah.
okay, okay. What one would you recommend the most? The children of the popcorn out there, Dorian.
Ooh.
I will do the same.
I
I
would
will
say
go.
stop motion.
Okay,
Stop
nice.
motion. And then also Monolith, but Monolith is a little bit more niche
Yeah.
because it's, like pretty much just a single actor and everyone else is they're just
I'm
having
a,
like a phone conversation with them. So
yeah.
that isn't necessarily something for everyone, but that's something that I really, really enjoy. So I really, really liked it.
Yes, and the
Yeah.
niche
So
of
stop
a
motion.
and okay, yeah, cool,
Stop
cool.
motion
And
is my main recommendation.
well, I'm going to watch Monolith tonight because the niche of
Mm,
a horror podcast, horror film podcast,
yeah.
come horror
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah. And then yeah, and
and I
also
really
because
like
she's
her
she
in it as
yeah.
well. Yeah, she's brilliant. Yeah,
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 she's unraveling this mystery and it ends up being connected to her. Like she has personal ties to this whole thing
yeah. Cool,
as well. And yeah.
cool, cool. And it sounds like a
And
good
so
story as
yeah.
well. It
Yeah.
sounds
And
like
yeah,
it's
and
well
then even
written.
just
Yeah,
the stuff that's being like unraveled is like really, really creepy as well in terms of what it is. These people who have been through this particular thing that I'm not going to get into spoilers about it, but um this thing that these people have been through and what it is, it's like, oh God, that sounds horrifying.
yeah.
And
Okay,
then
cool.
yeah, and she
I'm
starts
down.
to lose her mind and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, I'm down. My recommendation for people out there. Yeah, support Australian horror.
Mm.
Find, go see, however you can, watch Beaten to Death. Yeah,
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
it's important because yeah, it's just the way it's done because it's shot
Mm.
amazingly, not just
Yeah.
beautiful. It's amazing
Mm.
cinematography to
Yeah.
just this
Yeah.
horror, this poor
Mm.
man.
Yeah. I also really,
Yeah,
really like it when Australian horror movies use just like how vast the Australian landscape is. Like they use that as a thing because, for instance,
yeah,
like for Wolf
but
Creek,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, in that,
yeah,
okay, yeah, cool. You've managed to escape Mick Taylor. You're in the middle of the outback.
absolutely.
There's nothing you
And
can.
yeah,
You're like you're
yeah,
dead anyway.
yeah,
Like that
yeah.
in itself is a fantastic like horror element. So I really,
Absolutely.
really like it when Australian horror movies use the Australian landscape.
Um, what was the Western I mentioned before? I can't think of it. My brain is turning
Mm.
into mush here. That uses the vastness of the Australian landscape as an oppressive
Yeah.
force, not as a horrific force,
Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
would argue Beaten to Death
Mm.
does. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
innovative as well, as you pointed out as well. It's non-linear
Mm.
in its structure and the way they piece it together
Yeah.
and bring it all around to
Mm.
the end is just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely love to definitely
Yeah.
check it out.
Mm.
Now we're doing Insidious next, and I will pin up the
Yes.
iceberg image so you know what's coming up. Yeah, and that will be at Evil Popcorn Pod at Facebook and Instagram. Check us out on all the socials, YouTube. That's Evil Popcorn Podcast as well, and just basically do anything on the screen. Yeah, if you just want to give a like, give a comment, just one little thing. That's all I'll say. And yeah, we'll be back, all going well for Insidious next week. I will just shout out Evil Corp, basically, our kind of our home at this stage, outside of our
Yes.
own homes.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we've got game night there now on Wednesday night, Twisted Trivia on Thursdays, Tarot on Fridays. We have, of course, the maze where you'll see myself and Dorian there in whatever capacity. I'm working on a character, a German doctor that me and Kate have been talking
Ooh,
about. I'm on to create a homage to
cool.
Dieter. Homage to Dieter Laser from the
Oh,
Human
yeah, that'd
Centipede.
be so
That's
cool.
that's where I want to
Ah,
go with it.
that'd be so cool.
Because Kate was like, "Yeah,
I
go
mean, we've
nuts," and
got
I'm like,
we've got Mick
"Okay."
Taylor. We've got
We have,
Mick
yeah.
Taylor. Why not have
Mm.
him?
Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, come check it out. It's a fun time. And we're getting bands there. Yeah. We're getting bands coming along on the
Yeah.
19th. Free entry, spooky rock bands. Yeah. Come
Yeah,
check it out.
this
And more
coming
are coming.
Friday.
It's
Yeah,
this coming
the
Friday.
19th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I should get it off. Should I get it off? Yeah, I'll think about it. Got to work, but I want to go. It's that thing in life. But yeah, definitely check out Evil Corp Australia. Yeah, just Google them. They're all over the socials. And if you are Brisbane and you haven't been yet, what are you doing?
Yeah,
What are you doing?
exactly.
It's
If
fun.
you
It's
listen to
cool.
this podcast and you live in
Yeah,
Brisbane and you haven't
yeah,
been, you're doing something wrong with your life. Make
absolutely.
better choices.
And it's not just for sick fucks like myself and Dorian as
Yeah.
well. It's a safe space for whoever wants to get away from the horror of the valley. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yes.
really is. Yeah. And you'll just be welcomed in. That's it. Yep. And then the night you'll have a good night. And I think we would need
Yes.
to wish the children good night there, Dorian. What do you reckon? I'm a bit
Yeah.
beat. I
It's
think I'm
time to
done.
go to bed.
Go to bed, children. The Baron, he's pushing that catchphrase through with the go to bed. Children. I do like it though. I do like it. Yeah, this has been Mr. Popcorn. Thank you again there, Dorian. We'll see you next
Yeah.
week there, children,
Yes.
for Insidious. Good night. I have nothing else. Bye. All right.
Bye.
Stop. Whoa.